Can rates go to 7%? What's Fed Governor Powell's latest message on future rate hikes? Plus, what recent developments could keep rates even higher for even longer? Hello, members and super savers. I hope you're healthy and well. These are the 3 topics we'll be covering in today's video. Because, well, this is where treasuries across different maturities stood at the end of last week. The 20-year and 30-year held their ground above 5%. The 10-year ended last week slightly below 5%, although it did cross 5% during the course of the day on Friday, the first time in 16 years. So, of course, the top of mind question for many of us in the world of bonds is how high can rates go? As usual, here's our front of video disclaimer before we dive in. For a detailed disclaimer, please refer to the end of this video. According to JP Morgan Chase's chairman and CEO Jamie Dimon, yes, they can. Here's a quick excerpt from a Bloomberg TV interview a few weeks back, just as Treasury rates were starting to surge.
Be prepared for higher rates and slower growth.
7%. Are we really going there? And how does
I don't know.
that
When I said 5%,
growth?
they said, "Are we going there?" Yeah, it's possible. You know, so when I talk to my board, I say, "Yeah, can it go to 7%?" The answer is yes. Are there factors that would drive it, higher than where it is today? 4.5, 4.6, or 4.7 over the 10-year bond now. Yes. Is supply and demand could push high? Yes. I'm just saying, be prepared for it.
I've linked the full interview in the video description below for those of you who are interested. But basically, Dimon goes on to say that JP Morgan is prepared for a world where rates do go to 7%, and even for a world where rates go to 8% in the worst case scenarios. And if you saw our recent video here, also linked in the video description below, you'll know that at the current time, we're also preparing for higher rates and more market volatility in the world of bonds. Now, whether the higher rates and bond market volatility that we expect in the coming months, or possibly even years, will be driven primarily by the Fed, as they have been since March 2022, or whether these moves will be driven more by the markets themselves, as in the past month, remains to be seen, which gives us a great segue into the next section of this video. Fed Governor Powell's latest message on future rate hikes was delivered in a speech last week at the Economic Club of New York luncheon, and the core message was higher rates for longer until the Fed reaches its end goal of 2% inflation. Here are the 5 key takeaways from Powell's economic outlook speech. Takeaway number 1, the Fed's end goal remains 2% inflation. Not 2.5%, not 3%. Numbers that are sometimes thrown around in the industry. In fact, the Fed's end goal of 2% inflation was mentioned 5 times in Powell's roughly 7-minute speech, once at the beginning of the speech. My colleagues and I are united in our commitment to bringing inflation down sustainably to 2%. Once at the end of the speech, my colleagues and I remain resolute in our commitment to returning inflation to 2% over time. Plus 3 times in between. That's about once every 90 seconds, so that everyone could hear this message loud and clear. Takeaway number 2, progress towards 2% has been made, but it's too early to declare victory just yet. Inflation is still too high, and a few months of good data are only the beginning of what it will take to build confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably toward our goal. We cannot yet know how long these lower readings will persist or where inflation will settle over coming quarters. Takeaway number 3. Despite rising rates and declining inflation, the economy and employment still appear surprisingly strong. But this may need to change. The record suggests that a sustainable return to a 2% inflation goal is likely to require a period of below-trend growth and some further softening in labor market conditions. Takeaway number 4, rates may go higher. Additional evidence of persistently above trend growth or that tightness in the labor market is no longer easing could put further progress on inflation at risk and could warrant further tightening of monetary policy. Takeaway number 5, the Fed doesn't need to be the one who raises rates if markets do it for them. Financial conditions have tightened significantly in recent months, and longer-term bond yields have been an important driving factor in this tightening. We remain attentive to these developments because persistent changes in financial conditions can have implications for the path of monetary policy. As we said in this video over the summer, when some folks in the industry were celebrating July's rate hike as the Fed's possibly last one, in our mind, there are two peaks, the Fed rate peak and the Treasury rate peak. Up until recently, the Fed was indeed the primary driver of higher Treasury rates, meaning that rates, especially the short end of the maturity spectrum, went up fast, but still in a relatively controlled, steady manner. Recently, though, that hasn't been the case. The market, not the Fed, has been the primary driver of higher Treasury rates, and the market has been driving up the rates, especially at the longer end of the spectrum for 10, 20, and 30-year maturities. And it seems, based on Powell's speech, that at the moment, the Fed is okay with the market pushing rates higher for them. As we all know, though, unlike the Fed, which seems to be taking the controlled, steady approach, the market changes its mind often and quickly. So whether the Fed will continue to be okay with the market driving rates higher and causing wilder swings in Treasury prices and overall bond prices remains to be seen. And it should really come as no surprise that Treasury rates need to keep going higher when the Treasury keeps issuing more and more debt because our government is spending like there's no tomorrow. And yes, Diamond NestEgg members and super savers, we are going with the government is spending like there's no tomorrow. So drunken sailors, ex-wives, ex-husbands, and teenage children who like shopping with a parent's credit cards, don't worry. We won't be comparing you to Washington anymore. On a serious note though, government spending and the government in general, let's talk about that next. According to the nonpartisan nonprofit organization, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, after taking out some fancy accounting adjustments for the enactment and reversal of the President's Student Loan Debt Cancellation Plan, the deficit roughly doubled between fiscal year 2022 and 2023, from less than $1 trillion to roughly $2 trillion. Here's where our national debt stands at the time of this taping. And during the October to December 2023 quarter, so the rest of this year, the Treasury expects to borrow $852 billion more, bringing our national debt to well above $34 trillion. And this $852 billion did not include any spending as it relates to the current war between Israel and Palestine, which Powell also indicated may impact future rate decisions. Geopolitical tensions are highly elevated and pose important risks to global economic activity. Our institutional role at the Federal Reserve is to monitor these developments for the economic implications, which remain highly uncertain. And this $852 billion also does not include any costs that may be associated with a possible government shutdown next month, which is looking increasingly likely given that we still do not have a Speaker of the House, one of the most powerful positions in the world that some don't want anymore and that others can't get, it seems. Our country literally cannot pass any legislation right now. So here's where things stand currently. Add the Treasury's estimated borrowing of $852 billion for the rest of 2023, the current war in the Middle East, and the increasing likelihood of a possible government shutdown. And no Speaker of the House for the most powerful, influential country in the world. And the result is clear, at least in our minds. Higher rates for quite some time. Who knows, maybe they'll go even higher than the 7% to 8% world that Diamond sees in his worst case scenarios. And by the way, while these possible higher rates would not be good news for the U.S. economy overall, these higher rates would definitely open up some good investment opportunities for our members and super savers. Everyone's financial journey is different. How high do you think rates will go? Drop a comment below and let everyone know. So, for those of you who are Diamond NestEgg newbies, you still have plenty of time to start from the beginning with this How to Invest in Bonds playlist and all our other fixed income videos for that matter, so that you can take advantage of this almost generational opportunity in fixed income. And for the Diamond NestEgg regulars, we still have plenty of time to work through all the video requests you've sent our way so that we can continue to ride this wave up together. And please do keep those ideas coming, by the way. We may not be able to respond to every single email and comment anymore, but we do keep a running list of your video requests. All right, members and super savers, as always, if you enjoyed this video and learned something new, I'd love to invite you to continue to support our channel through membership so that we can keep producing one-of-a-kind, objective, sponsorship-free videos for you and for our super saving community. Come for a chat at our next live member Q&A on October 27th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And check out our latest member videos. To learn more about Diamond NestEgg membership, check out this video here or visit our channel page or the join link in the video description below. See you again very soon with more brand new wealth building content for your financial journey.